Thanks for joining us on this early fall, somewhat gray afternoon for this Sustain Southern Maine knowledge sharing session on trails for Livable, Southern Maine metropolitan region. My name is Jack Kartez. I'm a faculty member here at the Muskie School of Public Service. I'd like to share some information with you about the Sustain Southern Maine project, and these sessions we've been holding as one of the many parts of this initiative called Sustain Southern Maine, and then I'll share how we've organized today's session that you will have a part in. The Greater Portland Council of Governments, GPCOG, with involvement from the Southern Maine, Paul, help me out, now it's the Southern Maine Development and Planning Commission? Planning and Development Commission, and Cumberland County Government, and the Muskie School of Public Service, was awarded a grant from the Department of Housing and Urban Development in its National Sustainable Communities Regional Planning Initiative. And our particular project, out of the 140 some odd of these across the nation, is called Sustain Southern Maine, the Sustain Southern Maine Partnership. So the partnership involves representatives from about 40 municipal governments, special purpose public agencies, such as community action agencies, housing authorities, and nonprofit service corporations such as Avesta Housing Incorporated, and also public interest organizations like Grow Smart Maine, of which I'm a founding board member. HUD's support is aimed to encourage cooperation across a region, a metropolitan area, to support HUD's livability principles, which you will see portrayed up here if I tee this back up after all the backing and filling we were doing. You'll see those 6 livability principles outlined there. And they have to do with equitable and affordable housing and transportation choices, economic vitality and success, community and environmental health and healthy living, and better focused investment all around, particularly a public investment, but also attracting good private investment as well. And there's a handout on the sign-in table about the Sustain Southern Maine project. So today we have an expert panel for this knowledge sharing session on how to grow trail accessibility in Southern Maine and how these trails can connect from a local to a regional and metropolitan scale, and the implications for the future of a healthy region. We have some new information in map form. It's all a work in progress, so we're going to check your pockets as you go out. No taking these maps out yet. You'll be able to use these in a discussion that we hope to have after hearing from the panel. And as in other sessions throughout this project that we've had on housing, energy, demographic change, the food system that's growing in the region and the state, and so on, we hope to collect good insights from your discussions about future regional needs and things that the partnership should be thinking about. So I just want to add one more set of comments. Mike Houck, who's the arch conservationist of the other Portland, Oregon, argues across the nation all the time that people should live within 15 minutes of natural areas. Research at Reed College there in the Portland, Oregon metropolitan area shows that the value of open spaces like golf courses to an area's property values falls off pretty quickly, a few blocks over, maybe 1,000 feet. But natural areas in the metropolitan fabric have an elevating effect on property values up to a mile or more away. Research in the London region that we've been looking at, London, England, shows that urban residents highly value open space access within 5 miles and will go even further to have it within the space of the urban fabric itself. So proximity and access to the landscape, not as a far off destination, maybe up north, but as part of the metropolitan fabric of life, we're realizing is extremely important. My co-host today, Kara Wooldrik, is Executive Director of Portland Trails, which has helped pioneer this kind of attention to such access in our own urban region. And I'd like to turn it over to Kara for a minute before we open up the panel. Kara?
Thanks, Jack. Thanks so much for coming today. Being part of building over 60 miles of trails over the past 22 years has started to give us some deep insight into the impact that trails can have on community. We know that, not through our research, but through others' research, that anybody who lives within a half mile of a trail is more likely to spend more time being physically active. So we know that trails contribute to individual health, community health, economic health, building the community fabric of a neighborhood or a larger city or regional area. With 2,000 volunteers every year at Portland Trails, we're also intimately familiar with the impact that having hands-on activities around trails can build personal responsibility and personal involvement. So any trails that we're working on, we're involving the local neighbors and businesses, and that involvement means that when a child or an adult comes back and they can say, I contributed to make that bridge, I helped build those stairs, I cleared those invasive species, that's doing a lot more than just helping their personal health or their personal growth, but also the growth of the whole community. So I'm glad that we're here today, and I thank you for coming so that we can delve into these issues deeper and uncover a good path for us here in Southern Maine.
Thank you very much, Kara. I'm going to introduce the panel in two segments, and we're going to hold questions unless somebody has a burning question, in which case look like you're burning up, and we'll address it. But we're going to get to a discussion later, as we have in all of these knowledge sharing sessions. It works well, and today we kind of have some special wrinkles to it we hope you'll enjoy. So the first segment, talking about the different scales of trail resources and access in our region, is going to be presented by two people, Jim Tassi of the Bicycle Coalition in Maine and the New England Mountain Bike Association, NEMBA, and Mike